Get lumped up tonight. Listen to Rob Rossi and RockerMike on the only podcast that I'll hear that won't make me wanna rip off my ears. Oh, the Rock Show, 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 the Rock Show. Oh, I want the Rock Show. The Rock Show, 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 the Rock Show. I want the Rock Show. Let's get lumped up.
Hello, people. Welcome to another excellent, exciting episode of The Rock Show. This is episode 151, and I would like to thank all the people that listen to us to the Ronnie Spectrum Show. Mike did a great job getting the information out there, and this is a few months later, but we'd like to thank you people for the excellent day. We made it in 151 in Canada. We were 52 in Europe. And I'd like to thank all the people for supporting us and showing us this great review. But tonight we have a special show which Mike put together, and we're talking about Arthur Alexander and Johnny Ace. So, Mike, what do you have for me? Let's get it on.
Okay. Thanks, Rob. Yeah, and definitely thanks from me too to everybody out there that, you know, has been watching the shows, and especially the Ronnie Spector one. That show did very well. This show is another.
We did great in Canada. You know that?
Yeah, fantastic.
We were never in the Canada rankings.
I don't know. We're showing up. We're showing up everywhere, man.
Everywhere. Canada, we were 40. We were top 50. We hit 48.
Wow,
so
that's great.
I gotta thank the people in Canada. Thank you, Canada. Thank you for the support. But when you guys are listening to, can you listen to the YouTube channel?
Go to the Getting Lumped Up channel on YouTube. Hit like and subscribe, and you can help us out a lot. This episode is a fan requested one. The Rock Show podcast group page on Facebook is one that we, use a lot every day. And I had, at the end of 2021, I had put in some requests for people to let me know what they'd like to see. And we did those shows in January, 2 shows like that. And then now we're going to do 2 shows for March. The first being this one. And we've got 2 requests in one show. Okay. What do you think of that? It's not bad, right?
You know what I think of Johnny Ace? I think of Road Warriors Animal. Brother Johnny Ace, that's still in wrestling. He's a total douchebag.
Well, the first person we're going to talk about today is Arthur Alexander. And this was requested by Michael Sawaya, who's been a fan of the show for a long time. Very interesting. Arthur Alexander had a life that was, kind of, short. Unfortunately, passed away at the age of 53.
But Mike, he was a music writer, and everybody covered him. Every single person.
Well, that's the thing. He never quite could break through. Yeah, he never quite could break through on his own. But other people that covered his music, you all would know. Okay, they had way bigger success than he ever did with his own music. But he was a blues.
From the Beatles to Tina Turner, they all covered this. But I was shocked.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's get right into it with him, and then we'll go over to Johnny Ace after that. Arthur Alexander was born 1940, May 10th, 1940, and he was known as a country soul pioneer. Like I said, so many people covered his music, everything from the Beatles to the Stones. Bob Dylan covered him. Okay, Tina Turner, even Pearl Jam covered him. Okay,
Yeah.
now he was born in Sheffield, Alabama, and back in when he was about 20 years old in 1960, he was working with a company called Spar Music. Now, unfortunately, not a lot is known about this guy. Early years, there isn't a lot of information. So it was kind of hard to put a whole consensus together about him. But he's very interesting in the sense that, a lot of people know his songs, but unfortunately, he really didn't benefit from it. But he was working in 1960 with a company called Spar Music, and he recorded a very kind of like gut raunchy single called Sally Sue Brown, and he recorded it under the name of June Alexander, June being short for Junior. Okay, he recorded it for Judd Phillips, the producer, who was also Sam Phillips from Sun Records' brother. Okay, and he had a label called Judd Records. That's what it was going to be put out on. Now, a year later, that single didn't make much of a splash, but a year later, he would record the song "You Better Move On" at the fledgling Fame Studios, okay, that were just starting out, Fame Studios. Now, they were located in a drugstore, above a drugstore, I believe, in Florence, Alabama. Of course, that studio would relocate later on to the famous Muscle Shoals, Alabama location. Okay, I believe the Stones would record there a little bit. 10 years later, Lynyrd Skynyrd, many people recorded in that place. It came out. The song "You Better Move On" came out on Dot Records as a single,
Well, you better
and
move on.
Right, it became a soul and R&B hit. All right,
Yeah.
it would, but it would not cross over into mainstream. It would kind of linger in the R&B world, which at that time was still not quite, known as well as what was going on in the pop world. Now, but many people had their ears to it: the Stones, the Beatles, etc. Okay, and basically the Stones did an unbelievable version of it.
The Stone version is fantastic.
Yeah. Now, I mean, even bands like the Hollies would cover it. George Jones, country music star, Johnny Paycheck, would do it. Gene Clark, after he left the Byrds and went solo, he covered that song.
Wow.
And the famous Mink DeVille of the 1970s CBGB scene would do a very good version of it at his live shows and stuff as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, another song that was covered by many and first released by Alexander in 1961 was a song called "Anna, Go to Him." Okay, and it was top 10 in the R&B. Did well in the R&B charts, but it wasn't until the Beatles recorded it that it became very well known. In fact, the Beatles had 3 different Arthur Alexander songs in their set list for live shows at that time. Okay, so they were big fans right off the bat. Another fan of that song was Roger McGuinn from the Byrds, and later on, Humble Pie would also cover that song.
Humble Pie is a great band.
Oh yeah, they would do a good version of that. Now in '62, Arthur Alexander recorded a song called "Soldier of Love," and that was later a hit for Marshall Crenshaw and Pearl Jam.
Oh yeah, Pearl Jam. He wrote
Pearl Jam covered that song. Okay. Also, there was another song called "A Shot of Rhythm and Blues," which many bands would cover. That was recorded that year as well. There was a teen idol that was part of the whole, like kind of Fabian, Frankie Avalon era in the early 60s. His name was Steve Alamo, and he recorded an Alexander song called "Every Day I Have to Cry," which got to number 46 on Billboard Hot 100. Later, Dusty Springfield would do her version of it in the UK in 1964. Now, Dot Records would drop Arthur Alexander in 1965. But he would soon be picked up by the Soundstage 7 label. He didn't have much success there for the first 3 years. He kind of languished on that label with not much coming out. But then he recorded a song, a soul song called "I Need You, Baby," and it's decent success. Proved that he still had it as far as a performer. But there were rumors about Alexander at this point. Some said that he had like a strange mental disease, very kind of like odd behavior and stuff like that. But then there were people that said he just liked to do acid. So, that could explain a lot.
A little bit of acid doesn't hurt nobody.
That could explain a lot. I mean, but by 1969 he did a few more recording sessions, but nothing came out of it. Nothing was released. In 1971, he joined the Nashville, Tennessee-based Combine Music. Okay. And that's where he got to work alongside some big stars like Chris Christopherson.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, he was involved with that. Warner Brothers would sign him, and he would record the song by Dennis Lind called "Burnin' Love." Now, the Elvis version of that. Okay. Yeah. A lot of people don't know that's a cover. It actually is.
Love.
Yeah, but Arthur Alexander did it a couple of years before Elvis.
Yeah.
Okay, and he released a self-titled full LP for the first time in 10 years around that time, but that didn't sell anything either. He would be kind of discouraged at this point after so many years of not breaking through. He started to kind of give up on music a little bit. He would drive a bus to make a living. Okay.
Man.
Yeah. And he was staying out of the business for a couple of years. Now, in 1976, his song "Sharing the Night Together" would be recorded by Dr. Hook and the Medicine Show. All right. Actually, he wrote that song in 76, but it would be recorded by Dr. Hook in 1979. And that song would go top 10. It was a big hit for them. And it kind of kept him going a little bit. I guess he got some royalties from that. But again, he was still not fully back into the music business for a while. Flash forward to 1990. Okay. He was inducted into the Alabama Music Hall of Fame. And his interest, because of, there was an interest kind of rekindled in his career because of that induction. And he decided to make a comeback. In 1993, it took about 3 years to get it together. He recorded a new album called "Lonely Just Like Me." It was his first album. Perfect title. His first album in 21 years. He signed a new record contract. He got a solid backing band together, ready to make a comeback. And he booked a national tour, 1993. Now, he debuted the tour and the new band in Nashville on June 10th, 1993. And 3 days later, he died of a heart attack. Died of a massive heart attack.
He finally made it, and then he died. How fucking crazy is that?
It is. And it's a sad story, really, because he was very talented. You could talk to everybody from John Lennon to Keith Richards, and they loved his music. Okay,
Mike, if he would have taken that album that he did, and that album it would have been a hit album, and people would have been talking to him to today.
Well, posthumously, it did well. Okay, and then since in the years since, there's been collections and sets that have come out that have done well. But you talk about a guy not appreciated really in his time. At least as far as his own music, people heard his music and said, "Wow, that's a great song. I'm going to do it." And then they would turn it into a hit, but it didn't do anything for him,
And I give him why give him respect when you can steal it?
Yeah, I guess.
It's horrible. It's the business. It's the animal of the biz. You know, that's the way it is. It's
Yeah.
the same thing like the next guy we talk about, Johnny Ace, another guy, a great guy, but
Yeah.
got
Now,
fucked too.
yeah. Now, his story is in some ways even more tragic. He was kind of like his own worst enemy in some ways.
Yeah.
And again, this was another fan request. This one by Eric Walter, another fan of the show.
Johnny Marshall Alexander Jr.
Right. Johnny Marshall
Fucked.
Alexander Jr., also known as Johnny Ace. What's that?
Fucked.
Yeah, totally.
He's another guy where he met and fucked. Is this like, did this guy pick the fuck you black guy of the fucking month? Because these are black guys that would have gone down in history as great musicians. They all fucking, by the time they make it, you know what? By the time they learn how to play ball, the game was over.
Yeah, they were done. I know. Well, the music business. The music business, especially in those days, was, cutthroat kind of stuff. Okay. If you weren't getting ripped off by promoters, you were getting ripped off by people you're working with or working for. It was a tough business, and everybody, really, it was just cutthroat, But Johnny Ace.
No, before you start RockerMike, I'll ask you a real question. A guy that's been around the industry, you see a lot of great musicians. You've been to a lot of great shows.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, do these guys kind of get fucked just because the music start getting good and they actually become somebody, and the people that publish the music are just the people that gotta pay them? Do they kind of get fucked at the end of the day, Mike?
Sometimes.
You know this better than anybody else.
Well, look, again, this is the era we're talking about. We're talking about the 50s and 60s here. I mean, look at the acts in those days that were huge. Okay, we talked about the Ronettes recently, right? Because Ronnie Spector passed away.
Yes.
She didn't see a dime for decades. Okay, until she finally, took Phil Spector to court, her ex-husband, and finally got what was coming to her. But it took like, a quarter of a century to get it worked out. Okay. Yeah. I mean, in those days, people were naive. They signed record deals. They signed record contracts that, they were just happy to be there. And they thought that was all that mattered. But, it wasn't. And then, of course, you had guys that, especially in the R&B world, okay, some of these guys were like, a little off, a little crazy. Okay, look, Ike Turner, okay, and Johnny Ace definitely was a bit of a rebel rouser. Okay, had a reputation like that. He definitely was a womanizer, like so many people. Okay, but how this guy died. I'm not even going to. I'll reveal it at the end. Let's not blow it now. Okay.
Let's talk about this motherfucker and let's do this.
Okay.
Because this is. I think this is a story that you couldn't make this shit up if you.
Yeah, and there's a lot of controversy around it because people kind of get it wrong. Okay, and they turn it into something else. But when I get to the end and you see how he does die, you're gonna go, "Oh my God." Okay. So now, like you said, he was born John Marshall Alexander, and again, a shout out to Eric Walter for requesting this one. Yeah. He was born on June 9th, 1929, in Memphis, Tennessee. Now, he was the son of a preacher, and he grew up near Lemoyne-Owen College. It was a big college in that area. He dropped out of high school to join the Navy. Now, the story is that he got somebody pregnant, okay, and was kind of like forced to marry her, but took off to join the Navy, had the kid. The kid was there. He stayed with this woman for a while, had other kids, I think one or two other children, but he basically lived his own life. He didn't have any much to do with her, you know. Now, he joined the Navy, but most of the time that he was in the Navy, he went AWOL. Okay, partying and whatever. And
It's
he would
ridiculous. Ridiculous. He didn't even wind up in jail.
Yeah, well, I think he did a couple of times, you know, but he would eventually be discharged. And he could play piano. Music was something that he was always interested in. And he became a pianist for the Adolph Duncan Band, which was a popular band in Memphis at the time. They would play around the Beale Street area in Memphis, where, you know, all the clubs still are, if you've ever been to Memphis. Okay,
I still wonder why it was the Adolph Duncan Band, if you know what I mean.
I don't know. He spells it ADOLPH. A little different.
I'm just saying.
Now, on Beale Street in those days, there would be people that would play for money just in the street. Okay. And some of these guys ended up being, you know, big stars. B.B. King was one. Bobby Bland, Junior Parker, Earl Forrest, Roscoe Gordon. They would be called the Beale Streeters. Okay. And they would, you know, not really be a band, but they would play on each other's records and kind of be like this, you know, mishmash of guys that would play together. Now, in 1951, Ike Turner, Ike is always involved in some kind of nonsense, right? He was a talent scout and a producer for a company called Modern Records at that time. And he arranged for John Alexander, okay? He wasn't using the name Ace yet. He arranged for Alexander to kind of like play piano and play on B.B. King's records, okay, and record on Turner's label that he had. Now, he would back B.B. King a lot also on radio shows. There was a radio station called WDIA out of Memphis that B.B. King would play often, I think almost weekly. And Johnny Ace, you know, backed him up. Again, not using the Ace name yet. He was just Johnny Alexander. But when B.B. King left for Los Angeles and Bobby Bland left that B.B. King group, Alexander took over, all right? Wow. He took over Bland's vocal duties. He used to sing. And he also took over the radio show on WDIA. So he was starting to get to be well known when that happened. Yeah. There was a program director at WDIA named David James Mattis, and he founded a company called Duke Records. Now, he has claimed that he gave Johnny Ace his name. Okay.
Wow.
There was an artist at the time that was popular named Johnny Ray, and then there was a singing group, an R&B group at the time called the Four Aces. So he combined the two. Now, over the years, Alexander's brother, a man named St. Clair Alexander, he claimed that the singer came up with the name himself, or at least just the Ace part of it. So we don't really know. Okay, we don't really know exactly how we got the name. Just sounded cool, you know.
It did sound cool, very cool.
Yeah. Now, he signed to Duke Records in 1952 and immediately released his first recording. It was called My Song, and it was a ballad that topped the R&B charts for 9 weeks, okay, beginning in September of 52. So he had a number one for 9 weeks. He began heavy touring, okay, often with his friend Willie Mae, also known as Big Mama Thornton, okay. In the next 2 years, Ace had 8 hits in a row, including Cross My Heart, Please Forgive Me, a song called The Clock, Yes Baby, Saving My Love for You, and Never Let Me Go. Now, you might recognize the name Willie Mae Big Mama Thornton because she did the original Hound Dog.
Yep.
That Elvis covered. Okay. And he actually plays on that song on piano, backing her band. Now, in November of 54, he ranked number 16 on the Billboard charts for favorite R&B acts. Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. Now, his records sold very well, including records he played piano on, like Hound Dog. Okay. Hound Dog was a hit, especially on the R&B chart. Yep. So he was doing well.
Hound Dog.
And, he had a reputation for being a ladies' man. Okay. Yeah. He had, a lot of women. He did have a wife. He did have 2 kids. But he was out touring all the time doing his own thing. Now, after touring for a year, he went to the City Auditorium in Houston, Texas on Christmas Day for a gig. This was in 1954.
Wow.
Now, during a break between sets, because in those days, a lot of artists did more than one set. They would do 3 in a day, okay? And they would just bring new audiences in, and, everybody would see 3 shows. Yeah, now, during a break between the sets, he was seen in his dressing room playing with a loaded .32 caliber revolver.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Okay. Now, he was known to carry this revolver around when he was driving around or being driven from gig to gig. He used to like to stick his gun out the window and shoot stop signs and road signs and other shit as he was driving by. So you could get the idea he's a little nuts. Okay. Now,
he's a gun man.
Yep. Now, the story for years, you know how this is going to end, is that the story for years was that he died from playing Russian roulette. But that wasn't true. Okay.
I think he shot himself because he was.
Well, Willie Mae Thornton was in the dressing room with him. Okay. And he thought that the gun wasn't entirely loaded. Like, he knew it was a revolver, so he thought he knew where the bullets were in it because you could see them a little bit. Okay. But he supposedly pointed at somebody else in the room and didn't pull the trigger. But then he pointed it at himself and pulled the trigger. And it went off. And he blew his head off, basically.
He's an idiot.
Yeah. Now, Big Mama Thornton came screaming out of the dressing room saying that he had killed himself. And, supposedly he had also bought himself a brand new 1955 Oldsmobile that day, too. Okay, so on top, to add insult to injury, on top of everything.
You think this guy was a guy that was ready to commit suicide, or was it murder? It could be on the conspiracy theory now.
No, this is just called fucking up big time. Okay, there's no conspiracy here.
We can also call the show "Dumb Fucks in History."
Yeah, this disqualifies, but. You know
what we need to do one day? We need to start drinking, and we should do like our own version of drunk history.
Okay. I'm down for anything.
When we get down to this shit and we break this shit down, like this fucking idiot kid himself because he was an asshole.
The only thing I would hate is if we had, if we recorded it and it was there forever. You know what I mean? How stupid we are. That'd
be a gold mine. We'll drink and we start talking about periods in fucking history.
Yeah.
Talking the French. Like, people don't even realize how much the French helped us during the American Revolution.
Absolutely. And they only did it because they hated the English.
And then people don't even realize how much, like, George Washington was a bad general.
Well, he lost a lot of battles.
One of my best generals, Benjamin Arnold. He fucking Turner. He tried to get West Point.
That's the irony of it. He was actually a very good general.
Go fuck yourself, you fucking idiot, dude. If you talk about that shit, but this guy had the fucking world around his arm. This guy could have been one of the greatest musicians of all time, but he was an idiot.
Blew his head off.
Blew his fucking head off.
Now, here's the thing. Now, he was so loved, okay, that 5,000 people attended his funeral on January 2nd, 1955, in Memphis. Okay, it was in Memphis, and he was laid to rest in the New Park Cemetery in Memphis. Now, everybody says, well, I don't know any songs by Johnny Ace, but the song that everybody knows, even if you don't realize it, is a song called Pledging My Love. Okay, and it was released a couple of weeks after he died. All right, and it was a #1 hit on the R&B charts for 10 weeks in a row, beginning February 12th, 1955. It actually got into the Billboard pop charts and did well there. Okay, and he became the very first pop star to get on Billboard after he died.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Do you know that song? Because it's been in a million movies. Do you remember the song? Remember Bad Lieutenant?
Oh yeah, Bad Lieutenant had a great song.
Yeah, remember the scenes when Keitel's like in the whorehouse and he's naked, drunk, wasted, dancing like this, and they're playing like this like song in the background? That's Pledging My Love. I think it's also it's in Scorsese's Mean Streets, also with Harvey Keitel. It's in that movie too.
That is so fantastic.
Yeah.
That's such a dark scene.
Oh yeah, definitely. So, all right, so that's it. That's what I got for you.
But, Mike, why do you think these guys, these two very talented musicians, why do you think they were taken out of the game so early? One guy died. The other guy
Tragedy. I'm sure it's just, Outlook Arthur Alexander, at least, he lasted a while, and was a little well known. Johnny Ace was only known for about 4 years. He kind of rose very quick, but then this tragedy happened.
But
and
he also died very young. How old was he? Like 25, 24?
Yeah, he was 25 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, so, and this is a guy that if he would have lived a few more years, he would have been like, holy shit, on top of the world.
No, he would have been, I mean, he could have been, he was a piano player. He could have been another Fats Domino or something. Who knows? Okay.
He would have been better than Fats Domino.
He had a great voice.
Yeah.
He had a very good voice and a distinctive sound. You could check out his music on YouTube. It's all there. An important figure, and actually, they really, by the time he died in 54, the word rock and roll really wasn't used yet.
No,
it was about a year. It was about a year away. And he would be considered one of the early deaths in rock and roll, if you think about it. Johnny Ace, yeah.
Mike, I'm gonna ask you a tough question, or you can answer. Who you think would have been a bigger impact?
Arthur Alexander
or
Johnny Ace? Alexander. Arthur Alexander.
Alexander lived longer, but Johnny Ace had the fucking music.
I don't know. From what I understand. From what I understand about Johnny Ace, I think he was kind of destined to go down in some tragic way. Okay, he was a bit of a rebel rouser. He probably, I mean, you got a guy that driving around shooting stop signs all day long. It's like you're bound to do something stupid. But Arthur Alexander
that sounds like us on the weekend.
I've been known to shoot some stop signs. I don't know.
So you think Alexander would have been the bigger?
Yeah, I think the body of work, just as it was, was pretty amazing, and he influenced the people that influenced thousands. Okay, wow. So he really is a pioneer, as good as a blues pioneer, as good as any of them. Okay, Robert Johnson, Son House, B.B. King, he's a little less well known, but if you listen to his music, it's really right there
fantastic.
with all that
It's right
stuff.
there.
Yeah,
Right
with all
there.
that stuff. I mean, anybody that the Stones in '64 were considering to cover was a major influence. Well, yeah, a major influence on what they were doing. So it's important. And the Beatles too. I don't think there's anybody else that was covered by the Beatles and the Stones.
Wow.
Saying, I can't think of any act that they covered together, but they did.
That's amazing, man. That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yep.
And I gotta thank you for all the people that send their requests. This is another viewer request show. And Mike went out there, did the work, studied you guys. But this is guys that we probably would have talked about anyway. You know that?
Well, it would have come up. It would have come up.
It would have come up.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think our fans out there, they kind of know where we're coming from, so they requested good shit. We do have a lot of very cool fans.
I gotta tell you, the Black History episode that we talked about, holy shit, so much.
Which one?
Cover.
Which one?
The one with the insurrection in New York City.
Oh, the conspiracy ones.
A real insurrection, not what happened January 6th. This was a real insurrection that could have changed the country. Not the shaman with a fucking bullhorns or his hair running around in the Capitol, which was total bullshit.
We're talking about the slave rebellion of 1741. That's what that was.
A real rebellion.
Yes, it was. That was a good episode.
How many people did we hang in January 6th?
Nobody.
How many people are going to hang after January 6th?
Nobody yet.
I guess that's our answer.
I mean, I'm sure a few people would like to see them hung. I don't know. But we've got people in jail from that. But
so Mike, I want to challenge you. We need to do a whole show on this insurrection on January 6th, and we're going to break it down to a T.
Well, we have a lot of, the conspiracy shows. We got the stuff with Caldenaro coming out. We got time to do other stuff too. Let's do it, man. I'm always up for current events and the conspiracy going on.
But I'd like to thank all the people that supported the Ronnie Spector show. I'd like to thank Mike and going out there and talking to our viewers and getting these great shows together. Because at the end of the day, we do a lot of footwork.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time researching things. The next show we have is the last fan requested one, and that's going to be the making of the Beatles' White Album. And we're probably going to have a guest for that one too. We'll leave that for a surprise.
Yeah.
I'm going to start working on that in a couple of days, and we'll have that recorded soon for you guys to see at the end of March. It's just an endless thing. Keeps going, and it's great.
Because we got a pool of such great musicians, but when we got down and we talk about a topic or we talk about certain musician, we really break it down to a T. So like people say, how the hell do you guys know this? And the only reason I know half of the stuff that I know, because Mike pushed me to this level. If it wasn't for Mike, I wouldn't have half of the knowledge of the stuff that I did. So I gotta thank you, Mike, for
you're welcome
pushing me to that level. And I try to learn, but I'm also a drunk. I'm lumped up.
Listen, sometimes I'm sitting there drinking scotch or whatever and writing everything up. I'm getting lumped up. It's I mean, that's what we do, right? We don't get drunk, we get lumped up.
Yeah, but people need to understand this is a show that we love to do, and we want you people to feel the same thing. We want you to come on this journey with us, because we talk about music, we talk about certain things, and sometimes controversial. Sometimes people don't like what we say because they think, oh, blah, blah, blah. But at the end of the day, people are listening, and people do love the show.
And I agree. I've gotten so many compliments. People private message me, thank me. People from other countries. I can't believe it. Okay. Sometimes people from the UK, even Sweden, commenting, you guys did it. Yeah. You guys have a great show. We listen to it. Look, I mean, when we started doing this, it's been 3 years now. Okay,
Yeah.
we had an idea of we're gonna have two guys, just sitting around, maybe getting a little lumped up, but sitting around talking about music, and I think we've kept that idea, that theme. Okay, sometimes for a while, COVID didn't make us always together, but we're still doing our thing at the same time. And then it changed into 2 more shows on top of that.
Yeah.
And I'm grateful. I thank you too, Rob. I mean, you brought me into all this. This was your baby. This was your baby. You came to me.
But look at the people we interview. We have met some legends. Just
We have
met some legend, and we had talked to people that everyone's like, "How the hell did you guys get that on this guest?" And at the end of the
determination.
Day, I take Mike.
Yeah, I mean, determination. Yeah, it's the power. I mean, the power of social media. You could reach out to people, and it's like fishing. You just kind of like take a shot. There's times I've sent many messages out to people, never heard back. But then sometimes one will be like, "Oh yeah, I'd love to do a podcast." Holy shit, guy from Badfinger, or whatever. And we've interviewed some Rock and Roll Hall of Fame members. Yeah, he was great. We've talked to other people in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and I'm just grateful. But what we need,
conspiracy. You got called up. You get some people too for conspiracy.
Yeah. I do it the same way. I do it the same way.
And you know what? People like our stars or reporting because we just tell you a story. We tell you what it is. Then once you're done with us, you can look it up and figure out a lot more. Listen to the music. Listen to the story. Go out there. We start you in a journey, but at the end of the day, you need to finish that journey and listen to these people, listen to the music. They'll be like, "Wow, I can't believe that I learned this much from these guys, and I want to know more about this fucking guy."
Well, I kind of had a method to my madness. Okay, rock and roll is just not in the public conscience anymore.
No.
So when you wanted to do a show, dealing with this, I wanted to put it in a way to kind of educate people on whoever we're talking about, but also get them interested in it.
That they want to look up that person.
That they want to look up, buy a CD, buy a greatest hits or something, check it out. And, my musical tastes are all over the place. So I think we hit a lot of people that maybe, if we had just done punk music, I think we wouldn't have lasted 3 years. Okay. No. But we did, but we do all different kinds of stuff that, and 99% of it is stuff that I'm into. Okay.
But
so there's a lot of,
what's a show we should tackle? We should try to do a Run DMC show.
We did a Run DMC show. You're crazy. Remember?
No, but I mean, we need one like the making of one of the albums.
Oh, okay. Well, we did it 2 years ago.
No, we did Run DMC. We talk about history, but we need to do like a making of
an album.
Because they've done some great albums.
Yeah, we could do that. We could return back to that.
We did the Beastie Boys. We did Run DMC. Dude, you really want to tackle something? Why don't we tackle the Wu-Tang Clan and then we all go to the Zombie?
All right. I mean, look, I'm going to be announcing new shows. I'm going to be announcing new shows soon anyway, okay, for April going forward. So we'll consider all that. But
there's a lot of shit we got to tackle. There's so much music that we haven't even touched because you know what? We have such a big library of so much shit, but we got to break it down to things that people like the Ramones. We're going to interview Rick Fox, and he talked about hanging out with the Ramones and hanging out in Max's Kansas City.
Yeah, we got it.
We got a whole library of shit with that we could talk.
Totally. That interview is great. Yeah,
So we're just touching into certain things, and people don't even know how much more stuff we can reach because we're getting there. We got the connection, we got the vibe. RockerMike has been going out, getting great interviews, talking to people, and I gotta thank you. Thank you for all the great interview and people that you're getting.
And thank you too, Rob. You're a great partner. Couldn't do without you, man. You're the guy behind the scenes, man.
Yeah, but you're the guy that can talk. I'm the guy that's gonna listen to these fucking people. So,
all right, so let's wind this down.
So this is a big show to telling our fans thank you. Thank you for your support. We look forward for many more years of doing this show, and we hope you can support us to the point that you can. We're gonna get sponsors, and you guys can support our sponsor, support what we do, and we'd like to thank you.
Thank you.
And that's what Mike does once a year. Mike takes the best
requests,
the fan requests, and he puts a list together. Maybe
the next one is the making of the White Album by the Beatles. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, is that the last one?
It's the last one.
So, guys, if it wasn't for you, these shows would have happened. So we gotta thank you for their support. And you know what? I gotta say, if it wasn't for you guys, we wouldn't be doing this, and we do it for you guys because we want you to feel appreciated. We do stuff for the fans that they got the voice that the other people don't listen to. It's great that everybody's listening to somebody getting shot in the corner that's a rapper, but we don't talk about guys like that.
No need to talk about that nonsense.
Because you texted me the other day about that's what I'm saying.
Wavy Navy poo.
What the fuck are you talking about? Who the hell is this guy? Wait, who? Is this guy's a menu on Wendy? I have no idea who the fuck this guy is.
All right, man.
So, and that thing, Mike, how can people reach you?
You can find me on Instagram, RockerMike 212. You can find me on MeWe and Clout Hub under RockerMike. You can find me on Facebook under RockerMike. And then the Rock Show podcast group page, of course, on Facebook. Check that out too. How about you, Rob?
So I gotta tell you, savages, you can find me on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube under Getting Lumped Up, and reach out to me. And if you guys got any idea of shows or guests we can interview, just shoot us an email at RockerMike or Rob Rossi, and we will gladly talk to the person. And I gotta say, guys, we don't get drunk.
We get lumped up.
We'll see you next week. Have a good one.
Take care, people.
The only podcast you will hear that will be music to your ears. You'll learn about bands you love or may not know, and it's only here on The Rock Show. Ooh, yeah, on The Rock Show. Ooh, yeah, on The Rock Show. So tell your friends and everyone you know. Let's get lumped up on The Rock Show.